Humans. I read an interesting comment the other day on a thread that I was participating in. I forget what the actual video was, but I made the comment that I think it was about having kids and about life and kind of how to do life in the big picture. Kind of, what's the best way to go about it? Very broad strokes. And I mean, my comment was, I have been fortunate to have lived my life in two very distinct halves. One was I was single. I was a bachelor until I was 40 years old, at which time I got married and had kids within a year. My son was born within a year of getting married. But prior to that, I had been single, had never been married, had lived the full life of a single man, thinking that I might do that forever. And I enjoyed all of the things that you are promised that you can enjoy in life as a single man. You get to do what you want, when you want, how you want, no consultation with a partner. Yeah. And you have streamlined your obligations so that you are only truly responsible to yourself, maybe your parents, maybe your family, but you're largely just responsible for yourself. And you think through that lens. I get to eat what I want, when I want, how I want, watch only the things I want, to have the house arranged exactly. All of those things. Me, I get to have it all my way. Isn't that a wonderful thing? I get to have the fullest expression of me. A life dedicated to me. So I did that for 40 years. On top of being an only child. So I really gilded the lily. I took it to its furthest extreme. Someone who was already had a predilection for that kind of thing just by virtue of my only childness. And I just got to take it out and do it to the fullest. The second half of my life happened, I'm in that now. And that involved me arriving at the age of 40 and saying, this isn't enough. This isn't enough. All the things that I thought were going to satisfy me, worldly accomplishments. Let me tell you something. I did single. I lived look, there are people who made more money than me, but I made really good money. There are people who won more awards than me, but I won some serious accolades for me. There are people who have done any number of other things that they could say, well, I did this bigger than you. All right, good. Congratulations. But based on my criteria for what I deemed a success in business and in life, and by fairly objective standards, I would say I did okay. I did well. All right? So I did that. I did that to the fullest. And it wasn't enough. And having another Billboard number one, or 10 more Billboard number ones, or $5 million more dollars, or more, having go around the world more times, nicer hotels, more expensive suits. I mean, just no. More doesn't get you there. Did not get me to where I wanted. More of what I had done. I didn't fly in a private jet, but I flew first class. What do you want me to do? You want me to suffer or feel regret because I didn't fly in first class and, my life won't be a success until No. I knew enough. When you've stayed in a $1,500 room, oh God, but I didn't stay in a $5,000 suite. Give me a fucking break, man. That's the way your life is kind of arranged, that you think this. If you're still, if you're beyond 30, 35, and you're still believing the person with the most toys at the end of the game wins. That's your, your barometer for success is your material accumulation of goods. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It will not get you there. And if you say, oh, well, it got me there, I got all the shit, and I won because I got more shit than everybody else. I just have no interest in you. I have no interest in people whose worldview is so materially based. So you can argue until the cows come home that that is what this whole existence is about. And I'll say, I'll send you on your merry way. Enjoy that life if that's what you believe. It did not work for me. And I would say that for, most of the people that I competed with, I outcompeted them. And if you were in my field and you and I were to go head to head, I'd bet on me. Because I was really good at what I do. I'm still good at what I do. But it was not enough. This is what I'm telling you, wasn't enough. There was something deep inside of me that said there's more. And I had to answer that call to more. So I followed my biological, there's like a biological drive, and I wanted kids. And I will say that I can report that over the last 20 years, going on 21 years of having had kids, that it is far and away, being a father is far and away superior to anything I ever accomplished as a single person. And I will suggest that even though I have lived a life as a man, I would suggest that as a woman, there is no more fulfilling role to play in life, and I don't care if it is the CEO of the biggest company in the world. There is no more fulfilling role that you will ever play as a human being than being the parent, the involved, engaged, in deep relationship parent to a child. There is a level of existential satisfaction that is incomparable. Yeah, but I work for brother, sister, you didn't work for bigger companies than I worked for. You will likely never have worked on projects whose global scale and ambitions were larger than the ones that I worked on. Whose implications for not only that company, but for global business practices. Okay? This is very high level meta stuff. It's not only functionally big shit, but it's also at levels that move culture and move societies kinds of things. So you're not going to convince me that had I only done more, that I would feel differently about this. I did everything that, to my satisfaction. To my satisfaction, at the top of the game. And I'm just reporting back to you. Now, if you are wired in a certain way that you don't particularly connect with people, that the idea of deeply connecting with your own children does not seem like something appealing to you, then maybe you are better off chasing the golden ring. Because I can't help you. I can't speak to someone whose quench for meaning, whose thirst for meaning is quenched by material things. I just cannot speak to that because it is not a life I've lived. I can speak to those people who thirst for meaning, And I will tell you that all that glitters is not gold in culture, and the things that most people value as making their life meaningful or successful, all of the material things, it's all flash, no substance. I like nice things. I have nice things. But once you have them, then you understand them for what they are versus what you thought they would be. You understand the meaning that they actually bring into your life versus what you thought they would bring into your life. I further understand this at a deeper level that most people will not understand, because I, in fact, have been in part of the business world that is responsible for creating this illusion. And it's really one of the reasons why I feel so called and driven to speak on the things that I speak on, is because I know that there's some balancing that needs to happen. I need to balance the scales a bit, because I have in a career as a marketing, a branding expert for many of the world's biggest global brands and government organizations and nonprofits, NGOs. I've done a lot of work, and I've created a lot of demand and thirst for things that are not the best food for humanity. Now that's a high bar. Is what I'm doing, is my profit good food for humanity? I hope in the time that is remaining in my life that in fact I will be focused on that. So I stated in this comment, and I know I'm rambling, but so be it. So I made this comment that I'd lived a life on both sides of the reality of single and being, exercising your life in a way that is optimized for your own individual desires, optimizing your life and your choices and your decisions for doing exactly how you want to do life by yourself. And I was able to compare that to the quality of the life that I lived as a father and as a husband for 20 years. Okay? And I can report that having someone else that is more important to you than you are to yourself does something to you. It will do something to your soul, that you getting a bigger car, a bigger house, another beach house, another trip, another necklace, another surgery. It's not going to fill that hole in you. It's just not. But connecting with another human being, concerning yourself with another human being's well-being on a daily basis, when you make that a focus, and when you do that in partnership with another human being whose interests as a wife or a husband that you also have to factor on a daily basis, so that you aren't just doing exactly what you want to do. You have to compromise. You have to be thoughtful. You have to be humble. You have to be quiet every once in a while. That's good for you. It's not always fun. It's not always comfortable. But it is good for you. It is good for your growth as a human being to put others before yourself, to have someone else in your field of consideration is good for you. It has been, for me, the best thing that ever happened. I look back at my life, as accomplished as it was as a single person, and it is a distant second to the satisfaction that I have as a father, and at the time, the satisfaction and pride that I had as a husband and as a provider and a protector for my family. Yeah, that brought me deep satisfaction, primordial, primal satisfaction in ways that words will not be sufficient in explaining to you. I'm going to tell you that there are things and experiences that you will have as a parent and as a partner that are not available to you as a single person. There are things that I cannot express that when you hold your child for the first time and you look into the eyes of creation, there is no analog. There is nothing to compare it to. And I can't even go into all the words, and as good as I am with words, they will fail me. And so I can objectively tell you, based on my one human's experience, nothing I ever did as a single man, and nothing I could ever imagine doing as a single man will ever compare to that moment. And 20 years later, I just returned from a fishing trip with that young man who was once that baby. I spent 4 beautiful days with him, reconnecting, talking, catching up, hearing his mind, talking about our relationship, talking about our lives, talking about his dreams, talking about his fears, his concerns, talking about fishing, the mundane things of life as well. And it's just as satisfying. And I think through 20 years of that relationship, and right now I'm trying to imagine a better life. I can't. There isn't a castle big enough. There is not a private jet that is fast enough. There are not enough gorgeous and available women who could fulfill a carnal desire. There's not enough gold in the world that I would trade for the experience I've had as a father. And that's just my son. My daughter, it doesn't compare. You must do this. And the extent to which you listen to voices in culture that tell you, I don't need a wife, I don't need a woman, I don't need a man, I don't need children, I don't need a family, I can do this by myself, I don't have to conform, I don't have to be a breeder. Oh my God. I'm telling you, men and women, it is the single most important thing you will ever do in your life. And if you buy into all of the other voices that are competing for this very essential, fundamental human reality, that we are here to perpetuate our species and to continue this grand parade of humanity, we are participants. It is tough. It is a difficult march through life. It will be disappointing. It will be glorious. It will be any number of other things. But it will be tough. And for you to try to seek to avoid the toughness and the complexity and the wrestling with another human being and the responsibility and having to negotiate and all that and thinking that you can get around it and find yourself some higher level of human existence is just... we will need more time to play out the mythology of that belief. We have become so abstracted. But life has become so abstracted that we have come up with these formulations for human meaning and value. And you've come up with all these different things, very academic, very ivory tower kinds of things that are very highly abstracted. Reinventions of human nature and reformulations of, how humans are and what our meaning is best and what is the best way to optimize for human flourishing. And we're coming up with all these new theories, and people are going on, they're acting on those beliefs and making choices for their life, and they're parking, they're putting eggs and freezing eggs and believing that I can postpone, that portion of my life until I'm in my mid-40s after I've accomplished all the things that I want to in the world. I've dedicated myself to my career. I've married a company that really does not give a damn about you. It gives a damn about your productivity. All right. And there are some people who do care about you, but the company? Nah, that company. You are eminently expendable. 99.9% of you. A couple of you are. And even the ones who think you aren't expendable. Truth be told, if you disappeared today, it may be a bumpy road or two, but you're replaceable. We all are. Human history is that we survived everybody dying, and we keep on going, don't we? So don't get it twisted. All right, what is this? I'm going to tell you that the simplest, most straightforward path to having a fulfilling life as a human is to get married and have kids. Period. Who is that woman? Chelsea Handler. Continually makes more tragic and more sad videos that make my point better than I could ever make it. Drunkenly, stoned, making videos about how happy she is that she can drink vodka at 11 a.m. because she doesn't have any responsibilities. And y'all think that's cool. Y'all think that's modern. You think that's progressive. You think that's liberated. I think it's a tragedy. And what you don't know is, and what we don't talk about, is how someone like Chelsea feels when she gets together. She will never tell you this. Most men won't say this. That when they get together with family, or if they're just at a park, or as I was just at this track meet with all these beautiful families and the children together. And I was sitting there by myself. Now, I was there for my child, And so my mind was consumed with her and, all of those things. But were I just there as an observer, never having had kids and looking at all these beautiful families, I would feel that I was missing something. I would feel that I had not exercised a critical part of my humanity, being of service to of someone, of another life, being of service to the betterment of another life that I was responsible for. The responsibility makes you better. The responsibility makes you stronger. The responsibility gives more meaning. It adds more struggle. You don't know, people don't want to sign up for the struggle. But the struggle is where so much of the meaning comes from. So try to avoid the struggle. You're shutting off the avenue to much of the best meaning in life that we earn through the struggle. I need to quit because this is getting way too long, but the comment that got me and is emblematic of the zeitgeist. It is emblematic. The zeitgeist is the time, and Geist is ghost. So this is the ghost of the time, the spirit of the times, the zeitgeist of the times is embodied in this comment that a young man put. After I reported that I kind of straddled. I did this first half of my life as a single man doing all the things that you could ever want to do, that I ever wanted to do, and that most people would probably be very happy with having accomplished. And I compared that to the second half of my life where I had a couple of kids and I got married and was married for 20 years. And I found the second one was just so much more. It just was better. For me. I'm just reporting as one person out of 8 billion humans on this planet. This is just one report from one person. It's better. And this young man said, I feel like I ought to sue my parents because I didn't ask to be brought into this world. He felt he was victimized by the fact of his birth. The ways, the inventiveness of humans in ways to torture ourselves, to entangle ourselves in thought processes that are ultimately unproductive, that ultimately lead to no growthful outcome, unless you can look at them for what they are and say, that's some bullshit. And the antidote is gratitude. I am grateful for my life. I'm grateful for this existence and the opportunity to realize myself. That's the greatest opportunity we have. We are not here. Fundamentally, we are here in our base state. And our base state is our humanity. Before we are a color, before we are a gender, before we are a sex, before we have any preferences, a body, a hair, any eyes, any of that, before any of that, our essential nature is the human nature. And we are here to learn. I am here to learn and grow in love. Having this human experience. Everything else, secondary. All right. Is that an ending? No, it's not an ending. Conversation continues. Peace.